Hey there, true believers. You're tuned into Baxter Building Radio via the Negative Zone feed, and you are listening to episode 52 of the Fantastic Four Fancast. My name is Nate Charles. I am your host, and as always, I am joined by my co-host. His name is Shane Murray. How you doing tonight, Shane?
I'm doing okay. I'm trying something different tonight, so we'll see how this goes.
Oh, what's the different thing that you're trying?
So I'm gonna try to use the Marvel Unlimited on the computer because I figured out my passwords and stuff, so I'm signed in and I took that time to go in and find it.
Nice. What's your password?
Uh, that's a great question. I
Would you like to
found
share?
it.
Would you like to share that with the true believers this evening?
If I could remember it, I would.
I'm sorry, that's a later contest prize is your passwords.
If someone else could figure it out, because I certainly forget mine.
All right. Well, what have you been up to since our last recording session?
Went to Knobles.
Now, for those who don't know, now, and to be fair, Knoebels is a fairly popular destination,
It
but
actually just got the number one amusement park from TripAdvisor for the year of 2026.
right. But it's local to us, which is
It
pretty
is.
cool because we're in, middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania.
It's fair. I think three different parks are in the top five from Pennsylvania, ironically enough. But Knoebels came out first.
Yeah, it's a nice little park. Can't say that I have ever had a bad day at Knoebels. It's affordable too. You don't have to pay for parking, you don't have to pay admission. Only thing you got to pay for is your tickets for rides, and $20 is a long way in that park.
Yeah, well, it was a school trip, so they gave us all bands, so all we had to do was just jump on rides.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, needless to say, after being chaperoned, I was the only one that came back with wet children. Everyone else did not let their kids go near the fun parts of the park. They did have, it's still early yet, so they don't have like the actual water park open, but like they had like the log flume and log ride open. And everyone's like, "Oh, I took them way far away there." And I'm like, they literally looked over and I was like, "You guys want to ride it? Go ahead. I don't care." Like, you're gonna be cold, not me.
I was gonna say, didn't Freya just get over being sick?
Yeah. Dude, they're always sick. I can't wait till she goes to the high school because Liam was barely sick this year. The only thing he got sick with was his own stupid thing with the letting his toes get ingrown. Everything else has been fine. He hasn't even had a cold besides picking up the one that Freya had. It's a really big difference once you get away from the kindergarten and first grade kids, how less disease gets moved around the building.
Well, that's fairly incredible.
One more year. One more year of super diseases, and then we're good. What about yourself, bud?
Uh, oh, I've just been doing quite a bit of door dashing on the side. I'm preparing for my trips coming up here in the next couple months between going down to Heroes Con and going to San Diego Comic Con, both with the express intent of, talking to creators and seeing if we can get some guests on the show. Hopefully that works out.
We got some from the local one, so I mean, I'm sure it'll happen. I guess I'm heading down to the Allentown show for a day at least, or something like that. So
Oh, nice. When's that?
it's a weekend before you go to Heroes Con, so whatever that is.
Oh, well, hope you have fun. Maybe I'll
Um,
just go down there to check it out on my own.
yep. So I
Just
think I'm meeting my father-in-law. My wife is setting up something with her dad because my kids were bemoaning it, and she's like, "It's gonna be with your poppy, Dale." Blah blah blah. So we'll see how that goes.
anybody announced for that show?
Lots of people are announced for that show. The Peonies are going to be there. LaRoque's there. DeCarlo's there. I think Darren is there. There's a handful of voice actors, and it's a 2-day show this year. It'll be interesting.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll take a drive down. If I don't, I hope you have a fun time. Nice little family outing. Well, with family outing for you and Aaron and her dad. Maybe not so much the kids.
Usually, Freya finds something that interests her along the way.
Not so much Liam.
He
I would think Liam would actually find stuff eventually, but
uh,
you know.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying real hard. Like at least I got Freya reading Lenore. I can't get Liam to read nothing. I'm trying.
If they had Lego
Uh,
comics, he'd be down.
nah, he didn't even want to read the Lego Batman book.
Wow.
That came out with free comic book day. I've bought him like Pokemon mangas. Dude just won't read.
Yikes.
He'll read a novel. He has no problem sitting down and reading a novel. I don't know what it is about comics. I'm trying.
Well, at least he's reading something.
Yeah, he gets called spoiler alert at school.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he tells.
because they'll be reading a book and he'll be like two chapters ahead of the class, and he doesn't know how to not tell them what's going to happen. So the one teacher's like, "I'm just going to buy you a shirt that says spoiler on it." I was like, "That's a fair statement for that boy." I I'm like, she has all of the right in the world to do that because that is how he does anything he's ever seen.
Though it does surprise me, he does seem to show a fair amount of interest in our show.
Yeah, he likes podcasts. He likes people talking. Until recently, he now has decided that he likes Iron Maiden. He doesn't like music. I don't know what it is about the reverberations. It doesn't work in his head or something, but like people talking doesn't bother him so much.
It's just his particular form of autism.
Yeah, so like he'll listen to us. He likes listening to the First Read Spider-Man podcast. And actually, he enjoys the same podcast you enjoy. I can, if we have a long drive, I can throw on the Captain America one, and he will sit down and we'll listen to that.
Hey, it's a good show. So good that we lifted a large portion of our format from it. But yeah, those are all great comic book podcasts that Liam is listening to. And you know what all of those podcasts I think have?
Um, Marvel in common.
That's true, but they also probably all have a couple five-star reviews. And I'd just like to take this moment to remind the true believers that we are currently running a graphic novel giveaway. And the only way that you can enter it is by hopping on Apple Podcasts and writing a five-star review for the Fantastic Four Fancast. And that gives you the opportunity to win a copy of the Marvel Premiere Collection Solve Everything by Jonathan Hickman and the hardcover of Fantastic Four Full Circle by Alex Ross. Just hop onto Apple Podcast, write a five-star review, and then email us at fan4fancast. That is FAN, the number four, FANCAST at gmail.com with the username that Apple generated for your review and you're entered into the contest. And once we finish that up in a couple weeks, we'll draw the name of the winner and we will mail you those books.
Yeah, I'm excited to see who gets those. I hope it goes to a good home who has never read them.
Both of them are incredible stories, really stellar Fantastic Four work, and we look forward to giving those away to one lucky contestant. Well, Shane, what say you that we move on to tackling this week's issue?
Let's do that. This is a big book.
This is couple first appearances here this week as we are going to delve into Fantastic Four Volume 1, number 13, which was cover dated for April of 1963 with a release date of January 3rd, 1963, and a cover price of 12 cents. Shane, I think it's time that we play a round of the Shane Showcase. Are you ready?
I am.
Well, then come on down and let me know what you think an ungraded copy of this book has sold for at maximum.
At maximum,
Yes.
ungraded. Um, $1,100.
You are over. What I have via pricecharting.com is an eBay sale for $525, which is apparently somehow discounted off of $570.
Because it would have been a buy now. That's wild. There's four first appearances. No, there's five first appearances in this book, technically.
You're counting each and every one of the Super Apes, aren't you?
Yeah, three. And
You
then
absolute madman.
Then Red Ghost, and then the Watcher.
Yeah, yeah.
You would think the Watcher himself would be worth that.
Well, we
What?
haven't gotten to the graded copy yet, Shane.
That's fair.
How much do you think a graded 9.8 copy has sold for at maximum?
Um, it's still early, Jack and Stan. I'm assuming that they're not counting it as five, they're only counting it as two. 21,000.
In the grand scheme of things, close. You are not over. $26,624.
See that? I used my Jack and Stan math to figure that out. So anything I think should be reasonable, I automatically add zeros for it being a Jack and Stan early book. And then if there's like a new thing in it, even though, spoiler alert, not a big Red Ghost fan. I'm glad he got not put in the movie.
Don't besmirch Malkovich like that. Jeez. Well, speaking of Jack and Stan, our credits for today's issue are writer Stan Lee, penciler Jack Kirby, inker Steve Ditko, co-creator of Spider-Man, colorist Stan Goldberg, letterer Artie Simic, and the editor and editor-in-chief duties were also taken up by Stan Lee. Shane, would you like to hear a synopsis of today's issue?
I would love to hear a synopsis of today's issue.
Well, once again, Marvel Unlimited has us covered with the enigmatic Watcher makes his debut in this very issue. On a mission to the moon, the Fantastic Four meet Uatu, better known as the Watcher, who is tasked to watch humanity but never intervene in their affairs. And on the way to the moon, the FF see a nearby Russian ship being hit by cosmic rays, and the Russian crew are affected in a startling way.
So even the synopsis doesn't like the Red Ghost.
All right, so I guess I'm going to ask this now because you're harping on it. What's your issue with Ivan Kragoff?
Oh, it's just book. This book I just don't like. I also just don't like the Red Ghost as a character. I think the Super Apes are dumb. That's just me. That could be again going back to the fact that I have that hardcore like DC background and I'm used to like Grog and the like who are just super smart gorillas by themselves.
It is fair. There is no more iconic gorilla in comics than Grodd.
I found this article I should send to you. It's a whole thing about DC's weird obsessions with hyper intelligent gorillas.
As one normally should have.
Hyper intelligent
Back,
gorillas or
no, back in the Silver Age, man, you put a big monkey on the cover, it'll draw kids in, man. That's literally one of the stories behind my very first Fantastic Four comic, and that was in the 1990s. Well, Shane, today's cover is by Jack Kirby, Al Hartley, Don Heck, Steve Ditko, Stan Goldberg, and Artie Simic. My God, you could farm a small battalion with that amount of people. Would you care to take us through it?
looking at it and I'm like, there you can kind of tell who's on where in this cover. Anyway, so the cover is it's a light blue background with Earth behind the Fantastic Four who's on the left of the book. Johnny's flamed on, going to touch down on the moon, and Ben's looking into a crater. Reed's examining the surface, and Sue seems to be the only one that can kind of tell that there might be something going on. As in the front of it on the right-hand side, there is a invisible hand that everything in the background can be seen through. And it just is reaching up, but not like towards the FF. We have one, two, three, four, five. We have five different word bubbles on this cover, so quite a lot going on. I guess I can do you a favor, seeing that you do all the voices on the inside and read one. Starting with the Fantastic Four, has an arrow going down that says enough fantasy and super characters to fill three magazines. One of the most fantastic tales of all goes down into a gray word bubble that's like more pop than word bubble. It has a lot of squiggly lines on the outside, but it's in gray and it says more than 200,000 miles from Earth, the Fantastic Four face the menace of the Red Ghost. Then next to that, we have another caption that's Mystery on the Moon. Then underneath Reed's foot, you get also in this spellbinding tale, you will meet the most dramatic being of all time, the mysterious Watcher. Who is he? What is he? And that is in a question mark word bubble.
Well, thank you, Shane. I do appreciate you reading those captions. Couple things. One detail that I do really like about this cover is there in the foreground where the spectral hand of the red ghost is reaching out. You can see the abandoned city from the blue area of the moon there in the crater at Reed's feet. I think that's a cool touch. And overall, what I really enjoy about this cover is that it reminds me of like late 1950s, early 1960s B movie sci-fi poster. You know what I mean? Particularly with the caption "Mystery on the Moon" and just the overall design of where the Fantastic Four are and their poses, and that again spectral hand of the Red Ghost popping out in the foreground. I could see this having been right next to "The Day the Earth Stood Still" or something like that.
If you did take away all of the word bubbles and just left the Fantastic Four on there and the Mystery on the Moon, you could definitely sell this as a movie poster for sure. Someone would believe that it was a movie poster.
And you know what, Shane? I am going to give you the fact that the Super Apes do count as first appearances in this issue purely for that word bubble that says enough fantasy and super characters to fill 3 magazines.
Yeah. Well, I at least gave props to the Red Ghost. The Marvel Unlimited synopsis didn't even want to give props to the Red Ghost, so I'm just saying.
And we open our book and we are greeted immediately with the title of this story, Shane.
The Fantastic Four versus the Red Ghost and his incredible super apes.
The word's not incredible.
Oh, his indescribable super apes.
All right. And our narration reads Twilight in New York. At the skyscraper headquarters of America's greatest superheroes, all is quiet until suddenly, unexpectedly, the stillness is shattered by a pulse-stopping explosion from the lab of Mr. Fantastic. And what does our half-page splash panel show us, Shane?
It shows one of Reed's experiments on fire and from his experiment that he was trying to accomplish.
And entering the room behind this apparatus, shielding themselves from the flame, is both Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm, who is flamed on, and then shielding herself from the flame using Ben's body is Sue Storm. And Johnny says, Suffering cats! Look at Reed's lab! What happened? Something must have gone wrong with his experiment, Johnny. But but where is he? You two stay back. I'll shove that junk aside and see if he's under it. Reed, where are you, guy? Stop trying to worry us, you blasted animated rubber band. Reed, say something. And Johnny takes to the air and says, Watch out, Ben. Maybe I can find him. I'll fly over the wreckage. Stop talking and move, hothead. He must be pinned under some of that debris. Suddenly, what do we see, Shane?
Mr. Fantastic in a fireproof suit stretching into the room to deal with the fire in the experiment.
Let's describe this fireproof suit for us.
Okay, it is a purple fireproof suit with a lot of little squares sewn into it and this metal mask with two eyes and a Jeep grill for a mouth structure.
Well, you got to breathe somehow, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And as he stretches past Ben and Sue, he says, Torch, come back. I'm okay. Got to get to him before the fumes overpower him. There he is, in his protective stretch suit. Thank heavens, he's all right. Good thing this suit is asbestos lined. Come here, little partner. Those fumes are dangerous. And Reed wraps his arms around Johnny and begins to pull him back from the fire. Huh? Hey, you got some strange way of thanking a guy for trying to help. What you trying to do? Blow the joint up? And Reed removes his helmet and says, I was experimenting with a new type of energy for rocket propulsion, and it proved even more powerful than I hoped it would be. Oh, Reed, you might have been killed. Yeah, what's even worse, he might have killed us. And as the fire dies down, Reed notices a patch of it still burning intensely at his feet. Look, it's still glowing, still giving off energy. Do you know what this means? Yeah, we're liable to get a hot foot. Quit clowning, Ben. I've discovered a booster fuel powerful enough to enable us to catch up with the Reds in the race to the moon. You mean that little thing'll do it? But what is it, Reed? What's it made out of? It's composed of substances found in a meteor crater. I first got the idea for creating it years ago, and I think the Reds thought of it then too. You see, a meteor fell in Siberia some time ago, flattening 100 square miles of forest. I've long suspected that they developed their powerful rocket thrust by utilizing the energy of the burned out meteor. So I recently explored an American meteor crater in Arizona to satisfy myself. And we see Reed take a chopper to this crater where he discovers a large chunk of rock that he takes back to his lab and is examining with some sort of microscopic goggles. I brought the pieces of the meteorite back to the lab with me for intensive study, and then I discovered it. And Reed says, I was right. There is limitless energy contained within this fragment from outer space. And then we return to the present where Reed addresses his three compadres and says, and now I've found a way to harness that energy. All I have to do is expose this iron bar to the correct radiation, and it'll furnish the power to send a huge rocket straight to the moon. This means America may win the space race. By next week, as soon as I finish converting our experimental rocket, that's where I'll be, in the mysterious blue area of the moon. And Reed points to that spot on a map of the moon that he has in his lab. But Ben says, just one chicken scratching minute there, pal. What do you mean where you'll be? This is the Fantastic Four, not a solo act. We're going with you. And Ben reaches out and places his hand on Reed's shoulder. No, no, it's too dangerous, too untested. I can't ask you to risk your lives with me. But you might need us, Reed. You're outvoted, boss man. You're stuck with us. And Ben begins to actually mold Reed's pliable form in his hands into an almost ball like shape. Trouble with you is we've let you boss us around so much that you're beginning to think you can get along without us. Ben, cut it out. Don't. And Ben picks up a glass cylinder and begins to put Reed inside of it. But we got a big investment in you. We ain't gonna let you go somewhere alone where you might hurt your adorable self. Do you get the message, mister? And he places his hand over top of the cylinder, trapping Reed inside. Reed says, I read you loud and clear, little friend. You win. We'll all go together. And we turn the page, and our narration reads, but at that moment, on the other side of the globe, behind the Iron Curtain, another strange experiment takes place. And can you go ahead and describe that scene for us, Shane?
Yeah, you have in the foreground a gorilla undoing a latch on a dummy door. So in the background, you have a guy back there pushing buttons, and it has a little red light to indicate that he's either doing it wrong or correctly.
And can you
Um,
describe the gentleman that's in the background, Shane?
Absolutely. He has a green, I'm not exactly sure what you would call that coat thing that he has on, but he has green pants, green jacket that has a black belt, and it's a fur lined up around the neck. He is got the old friar tuck going on with white hair going around his head.
Long white hair, nonetheless. And this gentleman says to the ape, that is it. You must never forget when the red light flashes, you turn the escape hatch wheel. Now, this may seem like an odd place to leave off, Shane, but I do have to admit, when you're looking at this book on Marvel Unlimited and you're doing the smart panel feature, and you go from the last panel on page 3 to the first panel here on page 4, it is incredible to see the two fade together because this gorilla's pose is more or less exactly the same as Ben's pose in the previous panel. It's almost a cinematic experience seeing the transition between the two.
Man, they should have showed that to the people that cut Star Wars Episode 9. Um,
Anyway, our green-clad individual continues. Only a genius such as I, Ivan Kragoff, could have trained a gorilla to operate a spaceship. There's the blue light. Quickly, put on your magnetic shoes. And the gorilla sits down and puts his shoes on. And Kragoff leads him over to an enclosure that he latches behind him and begins feeding him some bananas. Well done, my monstrous slave. Now here is your reward. See that you remember your lessons while I go practice with your other two schoolmates. And can you describe the second of the gorilla's schoolmates, Shane?
it's a baboon that is very, very aggressive and is just looking to just tear the guy in green apart.
And as it swipes at Kragoff, he steps back, his pistol drawn, and says, Stay back! No food for you yet, comrade baboon. It is important to me that you remain hungry. I want you to be mean, vicious, dangerous. And in the next panel, we see this baboon holding an assault rifle and he begins to fire at a target.
Back, 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 back.
Good, good. Your heart is filled with hatred. Soon I may allow you to fire your weapons at a real target. And Kragoff picks up the perforated target and says, Everyone a bullseye. You shall be a valuable addition to my little crew. And he walks over to the last of his crew. And can you describe this one to us as well, Shane?
Yeah, last but not least, we have an orangutan that is using his full extension to, it looks like pull a bar down.
Yeah,
But
utilizing,
he's,
I think it's a wrench.
yes, I've just never seen square bolts before because that is, or rectangle, even worse. So yes, he's got a rectangle wrench doing rectangle bolts.
There's a reason the Soviet Union failed, Shane.
Fair. He's going as fast as he could, but he also looks like he's struggling mightily because he's got one hand supporting the other wrist as he's trying to do this work.
And finally, you, the most brainless of all, but you don't need brains for your work. And he tosses a capsule into the orangutan's mouth and says, Here is your reward, for you're the only orangutan in the world who can use tools and repair any machine at my command. At last my crew of apes is ready, and now we go to the moon to claim it for the communist empire. And as fate would have it, at the exact moment in two different hemispheres, a similar launching is about to take place. And we see the Fantastic Four boarding their experimental rocket. Tell us what it looks like, Shane.
It has a big ball on the top of it with a small stem, and it comes down. And you know what it looks like? It looks like the eye from the middle of Bic with little wings.
And Reed stretches up to the top of this rocket, carrying Sue in his arm, and says, Here, Sue, let me give you a hand up to the entry hatch. And Johnny flies his way up there. This sure beats using a gantry. But Ben's stuck climbing the ship the old-fashioned way and says, Bah, I ain't a pretty gal, so nobody carries me. And at the same time, we see Kragoff and his crew of apes inside their ship at the control panel. Set the controls, Comrade Gorilla. You others settle back in your safety seats. Our great moment is at hand. And the next two panels show both rockets launching simultaneously. Blast off! But Ivan Kragoff's mission is more than just reaching the moon, for Kragoff has studied the history of the Fantastic Four for months. And we see Kragoff's ship enter the atmosphere, as he says, The mighty Fantastic Four derive their great powers by being bombarded with cosmic rays. That is why I have designed my ship of transparent ceramic plastic, like the nose cone of a missile, so that the cosmic rays will bombard me too. And we see a glimpse inside of the ship. And what has Kragoff done here, Shane?
He has strapped himself to a bed, Frankenstein style, to see if he can get bombarded with cosmic rays.
And this leads me to believe that he trained the apes to do this, which seems like a bad idea.
I mean, they have been known to eat their own help. So yeah, bad idea.
And Kragoff's monologue continues. My ship is completely unshielded against the cosmic rays. Whatever dose of rays the Fantastic Four received, I shall get an even greater dose, for I shall not turn and flee from the rays as they did. I, Ivan Kragoff, shall become even more powerful than the Fantastic Four, and so shall my apes. Together, we shall be the lords of the solar system. And now it begins. We are passing through the cosmic belt. I can feel the rays. They shall give me power. 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 And we turn the page and we are greeted by part two of our story, Shane.
Yep, Menace on the Moon.
Meanwhile, in the American ship, safely shielded against the mysterious cosmic rays, we find the Fantastic Four looking out the porthole at the communist ship as Sue exclaims, "Look, off in the distance, there's another spaceship." Got no time to look at anything now. I'm enjoying in this free fall. Wow, it's like floating on a cloud, says Ben as he floats upside down within the cockpit. It has a communist insignia, but they have announced no space shots. I don't understand. And Johnny flames on and says, "This'll give me a chance to use the new Atmo web suit you designed for me, Reed." "You mean you want to fly out to investigate the ship?" "Sure. This chemical tuxedo releases an artificial atmosphere around me, allowing me to flame on in airless space. It'll be a gasser. Here goes." And Johnny flies out of the airlock of the rocket and approaches the other ship. Holy cow! The ship's transparent. I can see right through it. But it doesn't look like it has any shielding against cosmic rays. And as he approaches the ship, he can see the crew inside as he watches Kragoff begin to unstrap the gorilla from its seat. And he thinks to himself, this gets kookier all the time. No one's aboard except that one guy in a trio of apes. We have passed through the cosmic belt. Now, for the great moment, let us see what miraculous superpowers we have acquired. And Kragoff looks over his ape crew and says, strange. You look exactly the same. No one has changed. But that can't be. The rays must have affected us. They must have. Suddenly, the massive gorilla notices the Human Torch's fiery form through the transparent hull of the ship. What is it? Why are you gaping that way? What is wrong? And then, almost without effort, the lumbering anthropoid seizes and lifts a 5-ton generator as though it is weightless. No, it can't be. You have changed. Your strength has increased 100-fold. But stay back, till I decide what to do with you. And Kragoff grabs a gun from the console and says, this gun will keep you at bay till. Wait! The gun! What is happening to it? And what does this gun begin to do, Shane?
It begins to just come apart and not look like a gun anymore and slowly transition.
It's changing. It's altering its form. It's turning into the baboon. He too was affected by the cosmic rays. Now he has the power to change his shape, to turn into a copy of anything. It is more than I dared hope for. But what about the orangutan? And me? Then, at that moment, Ivan Kragoff also notices the Human Torch. And the orangutan sees the torch too. There is someone out there. That is what excited the gorilla before. And the orangutan lifts its arm, and a strange energy begins to flow from it.
Wom.
What are you doing? Your arm. Magnetic rays are coming from it. You, you've become magnetized somehow. By pointing his right arm at the figure outside, the orangutan repelled him, just as a depolarized magnet would repel a sheet of tin. I've got to make it back to the ship. Got to tell the others, says Johnny as he is thrown from the communist rocket. They've got to be warned. We're racing to the moon with a communist and three super apes, and the four of them may be even more powerful than we are. And Johnny enters the airlock just as his flame begins to go out, and Reed and Ben assist him to his feet. You got back just in time, Johnny. The oxygen in the Atmo websuit doesn't last forever. Huh. Some astronaut you'd make. You don't even know when to come in out of the rain. I was so excited by what I saw. Didn't realize air supply was dwindling. I know this will sound batty, but there's one human commie in that ship and three different apes, each with some kind of superpower. Hmm. They must have been affected by the cosmic rays, as we had once been. The lone human must be Ivan Kragoff, the Red's top space pioneer. He's been vowing to be the first human on the moon. That must be the reason their ship is transparent. He must have wanted it unshielded, so the cosmic rays would affect him and the apes the way they did us. Look, moon dead ahead. Fire retros. Moments later, as the great ship slowly descends to the moon's surface, what do we see, Shane?
We see a ancient civilization on the moon, almost a whole city that seems to be abandoned.
And as the Fantastic Force rocket lowers itself into these ruins, Reed says, we did it. The energy pile worked. We're landing smack in the center of the mysterious blue area. And there's the reason it photographs blue. There's a long dead city below us, the remains of some ancient civilization. Man isn't the first on the moon. And the Fantastic Four depart their rocket, but without spacesuits, though Reed does seem to have some sort of backpack and headset apparatus on. But Sue says, Reed, there's air here. We won't need masks. And Johnny once again takes off into the sky, says, Yippee! I can flame on! I can fly! The atmosphere extends for miles. It must have been created by the race that built this city. But we've forgotten about the other ship. Let me stretch up and look around. It also must have landed by now. Hey, look at this! It's some kind of ultra modern house, and it looks as though someone's living in it. It's not in ruins like the rest of the place. And can you describe this structure that Johnny has found, Shane?
It looks like almost like a crystalline structure. It is very much different than the rock slash the abandoned city that they've originally got to on the planet.
And Reed scoops Sue up into his arms and begins to take elongated steps, says, we'd better investigate it. Come on, Sue. I'll give you a lift. Hey, wait for me. Hold on. But Ben's kind of left in Reed's dust and continues to complain. For crying out loud. Looks like I just came along for the ride. The only time anyone notices me is when they need a hunk of muscle to save them. I must be losing my marbles. I could have sworn I saw that rock move. Oh, I'll just kick the blame thing out of my way. And Ben goes to kick this rock. Hey, what the heck? What has happened with this rock, Shane?
It transforms into the baboon.
For the love of Pete, it turned into a baboon. And suddenly, the other two super apes have joined the baboon in tackling Ben. There's more of them. It must be the three apes the torch saw. Let go, blast you. Take your hairy paws off me before I smash your empty heads together. And who suddenly appears before Ben?
Ivan just pops out of nowhere.
Enough, my pets. Now leave the grotesque American to me. You have seen but a fraction of our power. Now you will face the most unbeatable foe of all, as you are defeated by the Red Ghost. Red Ghost, what do you think you're doing? Scaring a kid? I'll show you how worried I am about. Hey, what? And Ben throws a punch at the Red Ghost, but what happens, Shane?
It goes right through him and shatters the stone behind him.
Ha! Now you know. This is the power I got from the cosmic rays. I can make my body unsolid, like a ghost, and you cannot hurt that which you cannot touch. So what? If your body is as unsolid as a ghost, then you can't do any harm to anybody either. And the red ghost picks up a log from the ground and says, That, my ugly enemy, is where you are wrong. Through mental control, I can will any part of my body to become solid instantly. Solid enough to grasp this club, for instance. But then, suddenly, what do we see, Shane?
We get a nice shot of some legs. Good foot shot for you.
Now, are these masculine legs? Are these feminine legs?
That doesn't really give you a good reference because it's shadow with the little blue on them. When they go up to like a skirt, it's an interesting, it's just an interesting leg.
Jack Kirby did a great job of maintaining some mystery here. But the owner of these legs says, Enough. Put down that weapon. The Watcher commands you. The Thing, the Red Ghost, and the three super apes stare in amazement at the one who seems to have appeared from out of nowhere. Then, as the super apes start to move forward, they are forced back by waves of sheer, irresistible energy. And we turn the page to start part three of our story, Shane.
The Watcher appears.
Suddenly, before the thing can make another move, the three apes are whisked away from him by an invisible force, placed into unbreakable globules of shimmering syntho matter. And then a strange, rich voice rings out. Cease this useless conflict. The Watcher commands you. And we get our first look at the Watcher, Shane. Can you tell the true believers what he looks like?
So the Watcher is extremely tall, taller than that mountain behind him on the moon. Has a toga on that's covering up a purple body chest plate that goes into his cape with what did we say those things are called again? That the thing that goes around his head.
A collar?
That's what that is called. Is that tall thing called a collar?
That is
Are
a
they
collar.
really? In what? Sure. Yeah,
Hey
so
man, I cosplay Doctor Strange. I have something similar. It is a large collar.
collars go around your neck, not like behind your head. But yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Lots of people are wrong about lots of things. They call sweatshirts jumpers in England. So
Suckered by my own trick.
so he has a cape. So there's this purple chest plate that goes into his purple cape and into his tall collar that is it is very tall and it's formed around his giant bald head. He's got lit up eyes. His hand is producing energy. He skips leg day. He's got like all muscle up top, no legs.
It's so true though.
Uatu, the chicken leg man.
Anyway, very apt description of the Watcher. Ben, in shock and all, says, For crying out loud, what's going on here? How'd the apes get into those floating globes? And who is that? It shall all be explained in due time. But first, I must bring both opposing forces together. Come from your place of concealment, Ivan Kragoff. And the Watcher, using that energy in his hand, forces Kragoff back into visibility and into a solid state. And then, slowly, quietly, the Watcher speaks. Hear my words, you of Earth. I come from a world so far from here that you do not even suspect its existence. Our entire home planet is one vast, gigantic computer. My people roam the entire known universe, watching, observing other worlds. We have seen planets where life evolved from seas of molten metal. We have witnessed the death of worlds which were older than your entire galaxy. And worst of all, we have seen once noble races turn savage and warlike with the passing of time, a fate which your own foolish breed seems headed for. But during all the ages, we have done nothing but watch. Never have we interfered. Never have we made our presence known. And we see the three civilizations that the Watcher has described, all with a magenta flying saucer flying through them, and a Watcher, well, obviously a Watcher inside because it is a humanoid form with a large collar and a oversized head, for lack of a better term. Our Watcher continues, but now I have broken the silence of centuries in order to save your people from savagery. You dare think you can stop the communist march of conquest? Shut up. Let him finish. Sooner or later, both your nations may engage in a war which might devastate your entire planet. That is not my concern. But now you bring your conflict to the moon, to my domain. I will tolerate no large scale war here. Instead, you, and only you, shall fight it out. I have spoken. And the Watcher lifts his arms and unleashes a blinding light, as Kragoff says, Look, he is fading away. Well, if we're gonna settle this thing between us, there's no time like the present, Mac. Fool, there is no way you can harm me. You cannot even touch me. I shall defeat you all. But at that instant, unaware of what has transpired over the horizon, Mr. Fantastic, groping for the thing, finds him, and we see Reed's arm extend over a mountaintop and wrap itself around Ben, lifting him into the air. Come back, Torch. I found him. I've got the thing. Hey, what the? Lego! And Reed pulls Ben back to the rest of the four and deposits him on the ground. Where have you been, Ben? We were looking all over for you. Easy, boy, you're crushing my arm. We want to show you the strange house we found. Someone must still be living in it. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's the Watcher. The Watcher? What do you mean? I'll explain later. It ain't gonna be easy. Here, this is the place. What do you make of it? Johnny says as he flies around the Watcher's domain. This house is nothing. Wait till you see the Watcher himself. He can do anything. He wants us to fight it out with that commie for control of the moon. Look, that must be him inside the glass dome. And then, slowly, the Watcher becomes visible to the Fantastic Four as he stands in his great chamber, using his vast powers to manipulate the very fabric of space and time itself. And the Watcher thinks, and now I shall bring both warring factions together in a vast secluded combat area here upon the moon. No sooner has the thought passed the Watcher's mind than the Fantastic Four find themselves swept upward in a whirlpool of shimmering energy. A floating, spinning whirlpool which brings them to 100 miles wide chasm on the moon's surface, and the most crucial battle of their career. And we turn the page once again to be greeted by part four, Shane.
Duel in the Dead City.
And describe the scene that we are greeted with here.
Well, we have three of the members of the FF on this very small, it looks almost like a bridge, kind of at the top of this one tower that they're in this dead city. And you have Johnny zooming off away. Looks like he's trying to explore around to see if he can run into Ivan before the rest of them.
And Sue says, we're inside an enormous dead city, and there's still enough atmosphere left to enable us to breathe freely. Breathing's the least of our worries, sister. The Watcher must have put that commie and those blasted apes here somewhere, too. And they've all got superpowers that match ours. That's never bothered us before. If that Red wants a fight, I figure the Fantastic Four are just the ones to give it to him. This is wrong. Why should we battle Kragoff? Why can't we leave our differences behind us? This is the first step to the stars, and we should all make that trip together as fellow Earthmen. That's real noble of you, Galahad, but I got news for you. Kragoff ain't gonna buy it. Not when he thinks him and those apes are strong enough to lick us and claim the moon for the commies. Ben, nobody is strong enough to defeat a free people. Don't ever forget that. That horrible man and those deadly beasts, they might be watching us at this very moment, waiting to strike. And suddenly, what happens, Shane?
There is a pistol produced that shoots out a beam of ice to freeze Reed.
The female is right, and you, Torch, shall be my first victim. You cannot flame on if my freeze gun covers you with a coating of ice. Duck, Torch, if that substance hits you, ah! And with Reed frozen, the Red Ghost, still leveling his gun at the other members of the Fantastic Four, grabs Sue as a hostage and says, a truly noble gesture. You have sacrificed yourself for the flaming one, but now I can seize the helpless female and hold her hostage. He's got Sue, but not for long. You and me are always clamoring for action, hothead. Well, here's our chance. Let's go. And as Johnny flies towards Kragoff, who does he encounter?
He encounters the baboon.
Better keep out of my way there. No gibbering baboon is going to stop the Human Torch. But the Torch meets his first setback when, at a command from the Red Ghost, the fast-moving super ape turns himself into a mass of thick asbestos, smothering the Torch's flame within his deadly embrace. And as the thing rushes to Johnny's side, the Red Ghost barks out another order, and the second super ape leaps into the fray. A ton of fighting fury springs at the thing in the form of a maddened gorilla, whose normal brutal strength has been increased 100-fold by the awesome cosmic rays. And this gorilla manages to catch Ben in a headlock and toss him into the air. Oof! Those blasted rays made him stronger than me. He tossed me like I was nothing. We really got a fight on our hands. The measure of a man is not how well he fights a winning fight, but how bravely he faces hopeless odds. And beneath his grotesque exterior, Ben Grimm is indeed a man. No matter how strong you are, just let me land one haymaker on you. Just one. But before the thing can get within range, what happens, Shane?
The gorilla smashes the ground and launches Ben with like a catapult that's made out of the destroyed city from him stepping on it so hard.
That's it, my pet. You obeyed my mental command perfectly. I knew it. By exposing ourselves to the cosmic rays for a longer time than they did, we have become even more powerful than the Fantastic Four. The world is ours. And now, my faithful orangutan, adjust your magnetic powers to attract a human body. Good. Now the girl can never escape. And Sue finds herself stuck to the back of the orangutan, and she thinks, he he's holding me to him magnetically. I can't move. I'm completely helpless. And the red ghost and his apes approach some sort of vehicle. Can you describe that to us, Shane?
It looks like a spread out bobsled. It looks like a bobsled grew wings. So instead of the tracks being directly underneath it, they went sideways.
And Krigoff watches as his apes enter this vehicle and says, bring her into this pneumatic powered car I have found. Now, you others, follow him in. We shall be gone with our prisoner before our enemies can find us. Seconds later, Using a vehicle designed by an unknown long vanished race which had once inhabited the moon, the Red Ghost and his super apes plunge into an underground cavern. While on the surface, what do we see, Shane?
Ben's still at the top of that, and we see Johnny teasing him about the fact that he's very high up in the air.
What you doing up there, Ben? What does it look like, big brain? I'm waiting for a taxi. And Johnny helps Ben drop to the ground, and they walk over to the frozen form of Reed Richards. Now skip the dumb questions and see if you can thaw out Mr. Useless over there. You sure are great with the wisecracks, buddy boy, but I noticed that I'm the one doing the work. And Johnny surrounds Reed with some flame lassos. Minutes later, we see Reed soaking wet, surrounded by a puddle, being assisted to his feet by Ben and Johnny. Thanks, fellas. I couldn't have lasted much longer. Kragoff and his apes made off with Sue, Reed. What's our next move? Brother, there's another brilliant question. We were wrong to tackle them with brute force alone. They're at least as strong as we are. We've got to find them again, and then we outsmart them. If that means we got to use our brains, then the torch better stay behind. Ah, go play in traffic, you big ox. Under the guidance of Mr. Fantastic, the torch and the thing create another vehicle, one capable of following their quarry into the dark labyrinth. And describe this vehicle to us, Shane.
It is an open cylinder, almost looks like the outside of a jet engine for a plane.
And Johnny, welding this vehicle with his flame, says, Why can't we follow him without this thing? Reed wants us to save our strength for when we'll need it. Not that you got any to save, Squirt. Good work, fellas. It's crude, but it'll do the job. You kidding, pal? What'll we use for a motor? We've got a ready-made motor. Torch, get inside that cylinder and do what I told you. And Johnny gets inside the cylinder, which Ben has placed himself atop of, and they take to the air. Suffering cats! He turned you into a human jet engine. Reed's gonna follow on foot. He says he has a plan. And Reed enters into one of the buildings within the ruins and finds some machinery and says, Ben said Kragoff can't be touched, can't be harmed. I've got to find a way to defeat him. Perhaps among all these scientific devices from a dead civilization, I can create a weapon. Meanwhile, not far away, what do we see, Shane?
We have Ivan talking to Sue, and as they are both outside of this cage that has the super apes contained.
I have freed you from the magnetic pull, for you cannot escape from this chamber. See how I keep my super apes separated from those packages of food by a force field. The hungrier they are, the more they obey me. No matter how you gloat, Reed, Ben, and the torch will find you soon, and then. But of course, I want them to find me. In fact, I shall go now and lure them to this spot. Although this locked door will keep you a prisoner, nothing can bar the way of the Red Ghost. And Kragoff phases through the door to the cell, and Sue walks over to the force field that is between her and the apes. If only I could find a way to eliminate this force field, to free the super apes. I would take my chances with them rather than the Red Ghost, for they are like the communist masses, innocently enslaved by their evil leaders. And Sue makes her way over to the wall of the cell and begins to feel around and comes across a loose panel. Kragoff has had more time than we to explore the mysteries of the dead city. Being able to go through walls, he could inspect everything he desired, but there must be a way to control the force field, he discovered. If only. Wait, here it is. This master cable. I've broken the circuit. The apes will be free. And what do the apes go for immediately upon the force field going down?
Ah, food, because they're starving.
Just as I expected. They're so ravenously hungry they don't even notice me in their frantic attempt to get the food which Kragoff had left on the other side of the force screen. It's lucky for me because turning invisible wouldn't save me from them. Their sense of smell could detect me as easily as their eyes. And once they are well fed, Shane, what do the apes proceed to do?
They proceed to break down the door and start to get out of that prison that they are currently in.
And Sue thinks to herself, and now, no longer under the red ghost mental control, they want their freedom. I hoped they would use their strength to break the door down. At the same time, unaware of what has transpired behind him, what do we see, Shane?
The Johnny and Ben rocket zooming on down to Ivan.
There he is, Torch. He just came out of that wall. And the ghost thinks to himself, they see me. My plan is still working perfectly. Now to quickly return back through the wall. The torch will undoubtedly burn through the stone to get me. And as soon as he appears, this all-powerful disintegrator ray, which I was fortunate enough to discover here, will dispose of him and the thing forever. And unaware of the deadly danger awaiting him behind the cavern wall, the human torch uses his fantastic flame to melt his way to the red ghost. But before Johnny can get to the red ghost, what happens?
Sue pops up and starts yelling for his attention.
Johnny, stop! Don't do it! It's a trap! Huh? Sue, you're safe. Let me turn invisible and walk through there first. I thought so. A deadly ray gun of some sort aimed right at this spot. Phew. It's not affecting you, sis. I guess it won't react against anything which is below the visible spectrum of sight. Well, whatever it is, I'll make sure it never menaces anyone again. And Johnny melts the disintegrator ray with a fireball, just as Kragoff phases through the wall. So there you are, Mr. Untouchable. Well, let's see if heating the molecules in the air itself can make it a little warm for you. Blasted brat. You've escaped my trap, but I'll get you yet. I've got to get away from them till I can formulate a new plan. Escape is a simple matter for me. I merely climb right through the very core of the dead city till I reach the surface. What a stroke of luck. There is the headquarters of the Watcher. What a fabulous storehouse of scientific marvels it must be. And Kragoff phases through the floor of the Watcher's house to the interior. Once I learn of the Watcher's secrets, the universe itself will be mine. There is none to stop me, for a man who cannot be touched cannot be stopped. But as the red ghost looks about him, in the strange interior of the Watcher's domicile, he finds it's beyond human understanding. It's too alien, too different. I I don't even know what I am looking at. Suddenly, before the intruder's startled eyes, a vast, shimmering screen appears, and a deep, emotionless voice fills the hushed chamber. Foolish earthling, you dare disturb the privacy of the Watcher. In one brief microsecond, I can transport you to a place in limbo where you would remain throughout all of eternity. And so the Watcher does. Or by expanding the smallest amount of mental energy, I can throw you 1,000,000 years into the past. And go ahead and describe the past to which the Watcher has consigned the Red Ghost.
This is where the Savage Land came from for in X-Men for a few years later. And that's Godzilla chasing him.
Or equally as far into the distant future, where you would witness the end of entire galaxies. And we see the ghost running through a flaming wasteland as meteors crash to the earth around him, and earthquakes open crevices in his wake. He is then transported back to the present, where, in his incorporeal form, he throws himself from the Watcher's domicile, as the Watcher says, but a mere helpless human is not worthy of even that much effort on the part of the Watcher, and so I simply brush you from my presence, as I would do to a meddlesome flea. There he is. We found him. And Reed, accompanied by Ben and Sue, has a device in his hands. Shane, what does that look like?
It looks like a pancake with a Tesla coil at the front and handlebars.
what I imagine the prototype of a boppet looked like.
Yeah, fair.
And as he engulfs the red ghost with a ray produced from this device, Ben says, "Hey, that gizmo you put together really works, chum. It stopped the red ghost dead in his tracks." I knew it would. I designed this paralysis ray to operate on the same molecular level as his own atomic body structure. If he's helpless, then we've won. Can't be sure yet, Sue. There is still the Watcher to be heard from, and the three super apes are still to be accounted for. And Johnny flies up behind the three and says, "Look, at the edge of that crater, coming towards us. It's him again." And the Watcher approaches the Fantastic Four and says, "The contest is over. You have triumphed, and my mission too is at an end. Now that mankind has reached the moon, I must go to a more distant part of the galaxy to observe you mortals from afar, for we watchers must be ever aloof, ever apart from other races. But remember this well, no matter where you voyage, no matter how far you travel, to whatever reaches of this limitless universe, you will never be alone. And now farewell. Space is your heritage. See that you prove worthy of such a glorious gift." But even as the awesome figure of the Watchers dwindles away into the silent night, five steel sinewed fingers slowly close around the discarded paralysis ray gun. And we see the hand of the gorilla hit the button on the paralysis ray, and what does it do, Shane?
He hits the button and it starts to unfreeze Ivan.
"Well done, my faithful slaves. You obeyed my mental commands. You have reversed the paralysis ray cycle, freeing me. Now quickly, hand me the weapon, and together we shall wipe out our unsuspecting enemies." But the gorilla keeps the paralysis ray trained on the red ghost. "Wait, why are you staring at me that way? Aiming the ray at me? Your eyes, they're gleaming with hatred, with vengeance. Stay back. Do you hear me? I am your master. I made you what you are. Stay back." It's no use. I can't control them, and as long as he holds the paralysis ray, I am at his mercy. And the red ghost begins to flee from his own super apes and is noticed by the torch, who says, "Look, the super apes are chasing the red ghost away. They're attacking their own leader." Lucky for us that they are. If they ever reunite, the combination of their superpowers might be enough to defeat our own. "Knock it off, Reed. You sound like the voice of doom. We can beat anybody, and you know it." I won't argue, Ben. We're probably better off if we all feel that way. And now we'll return to Earth and present our fully tested rocket fuel to the National Space Agency. Our mission to the moon is finished. It'll be great to get home. We can sure use a rest. And we see the Fantastic Four's rocket take off from the moon. But unknown to our four weary friends, they are heading into a still more fantastic adventure, for they are about to again cross the path of two of the most dangerous foes they have ever faced: the mighty Submariner and the sinister Puppet Master. But that's a tale for next issue. The end. Well, Shane, what are your thoughts on Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Number 13?
Man, so I tried to write this for 2 weeks, seeing that we decided to pause on it
Well, yeah,
for a
you were
minute.
sick and I was exhausted, so yeah, it would have been
And
a terrible episode had we recorded at that point.
yeah, well, so I tried really hard for 2 weeks to write notes, and I came down with like 3 lines. One, I'm happy it introduces the Watcher. Two, I didn't know that I needed the Christmas Carol and the Fantastic Four.
Wait, what?
Page 21, buddy. Or is
Oh,
it?
okay, okay. When the Watcher tosses him throughout time periods.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's the Christmas Carol.
All
It's the
right.
Fantastic Four Christmas Carol. You are welcome.
Yeah, a whole three panels of it.
All it took. It's the Ghost of Christmas present, past, and future. That's how it works.
No,
I'm
you're
here.
you're right. You're right. Okay.
Um, and the last thing I have is I'm very positive that some of the line work got changed by Ditko.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about Steve Ditko inking Jack Kirby. You can definitely tell it's Ditko inking Jack Kirby for sure.
Yeah, there is some stuff where I'm like, that's not how that panel was probably drawn. And then I have one fourth thing, I guess, because I went down a rabbit hole the one day. And do you follow dude, I'm gonna butcher his name. Villarubia?
Jose Villarrubia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
All right. Have you ever gone down the rabbit hole of looking at his inkers post
No, I
or
haven't.
his colorist perspectives about books being recolored?
I have seen those posts, yes.
Okay. So I wonder what this looks like without modern colors. I would almost have preferred to read this. This is me personally in the essentials without colors. Because with them changing now, mostly it's just the colors, but even the blacks will get a little bit blacker when they do like that up res to go to the glossy paper. So I would have loved to see it on the paper stock and see. I feel like there's some stuff that maybe I'm being harsh on Ditko and I'm not supposed to be. Now there's definitely things he changed because there's some stuff that's like those are nowhere near Jack Kirby lines. But if I find one of these someday and I can look through it, or if they ever produce a book that has this with a like an original print in it, like how that deluxe full circle has the original colors
Hmm.
produced in the back, I would love to just like take the difference. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm looking at Ditko's inks and I go to page 6, which I feel like when you look at the half page splash on page 6 where the Fantastic Four are looking out of the porthole, that is the most Kirby looking read that we get in the entire issue. Everything else when I look at Reed in this issue it feels off model compared to what we normally get
Oh
from
yeah,
Jack
dude.
Kirby.
And the Sue has 1,000 extra lines in her hair that aren't usually there because that's just not a regular Kirby thing. And it doesn't have that deep V cut like where she has that middle part. There's lots of little things like subtle things that you see in here. Now, is everyone seeing it? Probably not. We look at this Fantastic Four stuff way more than most people, dude.
Yeah.
And I love Kirby back to like I literally have a trade that's the Kirby Green Arrow stuff. Like that is a deep cut.
Yeah, it is.
So I like Kirby. I would not say more than most, but I have some weird Kirby stuff that I have had the pleasure of seeing and experiencing that some others might not. And you can definitely tell that Ditko inked this book because it somewhat looks like a Ditko book.
Yeah,
Not that it's a
absolutely.
problem. I love Steve Ditko. Don't get me wrong, but I'm reading a Jack Kirby book. I should be seeing Jack Kirby on the page.
I do agree with that. I don't really think that Ditko is the right inker for Jack Kirby. But, we'll get back to that. All right, Shane, you ready to hit our Fantastic Four of the week?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you?
Yeah, I am. You actually go first this time. So, what was your pick for your fantastic frame this time around?
Page 18, panel 5, which is where Ben is flying on top of the makeshift rocket tube that Johnny's propelling. Because it's just hilarious that Johnny's the jet engine.
When Ben's sitting in Johnny Rockets?
Yeah.
That is a
I
fun
think
panel.
there's just so much going on. And this book was unfortunately a tough read that at least put a smile on my face for a minute. So that's just why I went with my favorite panel. Which was yours, bud?
Well, honestly, I want to stick with this panel for a second and just say I miss things like this in current Fantastic Four comics. Reed always comes back with some invention that is like super high tech, definitely has a vibe to it, but He's the smartest man in the Marvel universe. I really wish we would get more makeshift inventions that rely on the Fantastic Four's powers, because I feel like that is a stroke of genius in itself. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, he's
nah.
MacGyver.
Yeah, I would really like to see that a little bit more in current Fantastic Four comics. But yeah, you're right. This issue is a tough read, but this is one of the things that I truly love about this issue is the improvisation of turning Johnny into a jet engine.
Yeah. So besides the fact that this panel's fun, what was yours panel, buddy?
So I went with page 12, panel 1. It's the first appearance of Uatu the Watcher. It's pretty epic. You get a sense of his scale compared to the thing, and you get a demonstration of his power with the nullification of the super apes. He definitely leaves an impression in his first full appearance in this book. And it's just historic.
Oh, I figured you're going to be like, it's so awesome that he has chicken legs.
No, no. The coloring leaves something to be desired. I'm glad that they moved away from the pale yellow skin and the purple and replaced it more with a royal blue. But I mean, still, it's a pretty cool introductory panel for a long-standing character within the Marvel universe.
A very important character in the Marvel universe.
Absolutely. It's an epic panel. I think Steve Ditko does a really good job inking Kirby in this panel. Ben's texturing and everything's pretty good. It's just cool. I don't have a lot to say about this panel, sadly, but it was my favorite one in the book. So going on to my grim grumbling, we're gonna jump forward to page 17, and we're gonna go to panel 6. Seconds later, in that caption. Man, this drives me nuts. Kragoff and his apes use a vehicle that's designed by an unknown, long vanished race. How do they know how to operate this thing?
Because
Uh,
he's super smart.
that only goes so far, right? Also, this thing's on a track, right? They don't know where it's going. Is this track intact? I mean, I get that he's unsolid and can walk through things, but he doesn't have super speed. For all they know, this might be how they disposed of like undesirables or is just careening towards certain doom. I don't know. It was just a little too contrived for my liking.
Yeah, the red heron was a little too red herony.
Yeah, exactly. What was your grim grumbling for this issue?
Going back to page 18, panel 7. Ivan can go like I really wish he would have sent him to limbo. Animal experimentation, animal cruelty. Like this dude should be in prison for life. Ivan is the worst villain ever because he's a true villain because he does not care about anyone other than himself.
Well, that's the
He
thing. At
can,
least, at least he's a true villain. I thought you were going to say him explaining his entire way of how he controls the gorillas to Sue was absolutely stupid. But yeah. I mean, I get not liking the fact that he is abhorrent and is violating all sorts of morality and ethical codes.
yeah,
And I mean, he's practically a war criminal, right? Like,
yeah, like this dude, we should send him like they sent Hitler in Little Nicky to do what Hitler has to do every day.
I've never seen that movie.
He gets a pineapple shoved up his every day, and he
Rectum.
gets to pick the pineapple.
At least he gets to pick the pineapple.
It's great. He is on the same level as Hitler.
Awesome. Well, having never seen that movie, we can leave me in suspense a little longer. And speaking of suspense, what was your cosmic cliffhanger?
You want to get away from that panel so bad.
I sure do. It's not even that panel, it's a little Nicky, which I think in and of itself was a war crime. Uh
um, Page 16, panel 2, where Reed is frozen and Ivan has figured out how to capture Sue. I hate when Sue is written as useless, like they did in this most of this story. But whatever.
Let's see.
But
Odd choice because it's in the middle of the page and you can see everything, but I'll allow it.
well, you can see everything else that happens except for Reed. You don't know what happens with Reed. He's frozen. That's the part that is my cliffhanger.
Okay, and that's the reason why I said I'd allow it.
Because if he falls over,
He becomes Mr. Chunktastic.
yeah, 52 card pickup. Anyone? What was yours, buddy?
Yeah. So mine was page 19, panel 8. The torch burning his way through the walls in pursuit of Kragoff, but he's unaware that he's walking into a death trap. So, how's he going to get out of this one? Is he going to see it at the last minute? Is he going to maybe accidentally blow up this ray with his own flame? Or is he going to get tackled out of the way by Ben? No, it turns out Sue comes to the rescue. So that was my cosmic cliffhanger. Johnny in mortal peril. Like I say, mortal peril always makes the best cliffhangers.
Usually does.
Yep.
I can't disagree with that. I looked at that panel, but it was Reed because I was thinking
Who is
when if
also in
he,
mortal peril by your definition?
yeah, because if he's frozen and falls over, well, what happens to the rest of the four? Because they don't make that tube they don't make that rocket ship.
Very true.
Reed, proving to be the smartest man in the room again.
Yep.
So, we go to our most fantastic player, and you lead this one off, buddy.
Well, my MFP, I would normally be keeping a tally on, but I'm still sore about the whole Abraham Lincoln's mom bit from issue 11 back in episode 44. So, I'm going to go ahead and praise the ingenuity demonstrated by the Invisible Girl in this issue. Does Sue get kidnapped? Yes, but she demonstrates technical know-how by disabling the force field that keeps Kragoff's apes from their food supply, thus breaking his hold over them. They in turn inadvertently free her, which allows her to warn Johnny of his impending doom from the disintegration beam. Plus, her feeding the apes ultimately ensures the FS victory as they turn on Kragoff. So I'm gonna give it to Sue because yeah, she gets played as a hostage, but she more than turns everything around. I get your point about what you said earlier about Reed inventing that engine and everything, but I think Sue really came to the forefront here, and also she deserves it because I really just hate that argument they made a couple issues back.
That's a good one. Sue is in my top two.
So who
I
was
did.
yours? I have a sneaking suspicion.
Do you?
I do.
I think you're going to be surprised who mine is. Mine
Okay.
is Uatu.
All right. You know what? Yeah, I am surprised, but I get it.
For one, the first time he brings them to fight, when I don't know, what do you want to call it? He materializes Ivan after Ivan tries to hide and puts them into combat. And then when Ivan thinks that he's going to go invade his house, he puts them through the Christmas Carol, as I put forward earlier. And eventually he just comes over and basically declares them the winner and is like, yeah, no one cares, Ivan, and I'm gonna go off and watch. But like that he's watching, and like if Ivan was to try to do something after he declared him winner, he could do some kind of magic malarkey and send him to Limbo or the Savage Land or somewhere where he would get eaten by Godzilla.
All fair
So
points, but that would also be him interfering. So you can't really do that.
yeah,
But
because he's
okay,
never interfered before.
this is the first time we've seen him. None of that counts yet.
He interfered in this issue three times.
This is the first time we. All of that counts. All of that counts. Let's be real. Uh, well, true believers, if you want to check this story out for yourself, it has been reprinted a fair number of times. The first was back in February of 1967 in Marvel Collector's Item Classics, Volume 1, Number 7. If you're in the Spanish market, you could get your hands on this in 1970 in Los Cuatro Fantásticos, Volume 1, Number 7. Or, I guess, Number Siete. Numero Siete, if we're going to get real technical about it. Then over in the UK, you could have grabbed this in Mighty World of Marvel, Volume 1, numbers 26 and 27 in March and April of 1973. It was also reprinted in giant size Fantastic Four Volume 1, Number 2 in August of 1974. Again, it was reprinted by Marvel UK in Complete Fantastic Four Volume 1, Numbers 26 and 27 in March of 1978. When we get to trade paperbacks, it first came about as a reprint in Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 2 from October of 1988. It was next reprinted in the Essential Fantastic Four Volume 1 from November of 1998. That is that black and white newsprint copy you wanted to check out, Shane. I read this issue today from the Fantastic Four Volume 1 Omnibus that was first published in January of 2005. Panini Comics again republished it for the UK in Fantastic Four Adventures Volume 1, Number 13 in June of 2006. It showed up in the Marvel Comics 70th Anniversary Collection trade paperback in July of 2009. You can also find it in the Fantastic Four Epic Collection Volume 1, the world's greatest comic magazine from September 2014. Mighty Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 2, The Micro World of Doctor Doom from January of 2022. It is also on Marvel Unlimited or on the key wall of a local comic book store. Shane, would you believe this has been adapted into other media?
When?
Well, glad you asked. It was in episode 4 of the 1967 Fantastic Four animated series titled The Red Ghost, which features the origin of Kragoff and his super apes, the confrontation in the blue area of the moon, and the kidnapping of the invisible girl. However, the Watcher is notably absent.
Most important person in the story.
Well, sir, are you interested to hear what we are covering next week?
Yeah, I am. Week two, right? Are we starting Invisible Girl?
No, no, not yet. We are finishing up Fantastic Four Full Circle by Alex Ross.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. For some reason, I thought that as week three, but that's our burn week. I don't know. I had that confused with burn for some reason.
No, it's okay. Any true believers who are not caught up yet, go ahead and check out episode 49, where we covered part one, which is the first half of Alex Ross's Fantastic Four graphic novel, and then come back next week for episode 53, where we wrap up that story. And let me tell you, it's phenomenal. You don't want to miss it. Again, if you hop onto Apple Podcasts and you do a 5-star review, you have an opportunity to win a copy of Fantastic Four Full Circle by Alex Ross, as well as a copy of Solve Everything by Jonathan Hickman. Two great Fantastic Four stories.
So,
Just put in that 5-star review and then email us at fan4fancast@gmail.com. FAN, the number 4, FANCAST, and let us know what the username was that you submitted your review under, and you will be entered into that giveaway. As always, your feedback is important to us. Not only would we highly appreciate that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, but you can also leave a comment or a review on Spotify. We are also on YouTube and YouTube Music now. You can subscribe to us on your preferred listening platform so we show up in your feed each and every week. You can also find us on Facebook at the Fantastic Four Fancast, where we encourage you to share Fantastic Four content, engage in Fantastic Four related discussions. Just treat each other well. That's all we ask. Follow the group rules. We don't want to get hit with copyright stuff. We don't ask for a whole lot, do we, Shane?
no, we're here to try to have fun, man.
Yeah.
It's our biggest thing. And talk about the Fantastic Four. And even if you don't want to talk about it, bring up something else. Like it could be a creator that worked on it. I'm always willing to talk about Alpha Flight.
You can catch Shane on the Alpha Flight Fancast, hosted by him in a bottle of Molson's Canadian.
Oh no, it is a case of Molson and some Chivas Regal. Don't you worry.
You can also follow us on Instagram. That is also at Fan4Fancast. Again, that is FAN, the number 4, FANCAST. And as I mentioned previously, you can email us with any feedback or suggestions at fan4fancast@gmail.com. Shane, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share with the true believers this week?
I would tell you to read this book. It's a key issue because it does introduce the Watcher and the Red Ghost, and people do like the Red Ghost. I'm not a big fan of the Red Ghost, and we'll get into that later on. But this is a very interesting book from the standpoint of there's a lot of people touching this book because even Don Heck is on the cover, right? Mr. Iron Man himself.
Yeah, Don Heck is on the cover. Yeah.
So like Ditko, Spider-Man, Kirby. I don't need to list that list because I don't have time for that. And that list is insane.
I'm more astounded by the fact that you said you don't like the Red Coast. We will get into that later. Shane, you do realize we are at the end of this episode, right?
Yeah, no, I meant we'll get into it when we get into further Red Ghost.
All right, cool. You want to save some stuff for later? I get it. I get it. You big tease.
Got to keep the people interested, buddy.
Well, here's to that. We hope you all will join us again next week. As always, Shane, it has been a pleasure talking about the Fantastic Four. For Shane Murray, I'm Nate Charles. Till we see you again, stay fantastic.